Gaffer, waterlogged pitches and postponements in August. First I've ever heard of it. I just checked the news this morning.
Well, bit unfortunate really, because we give Sheffield the option to come here, but I spoke to the first team manager at Sheffield, didn't get relayed to him, else had come here and kicked off at 12 o'clock. We could have had a serious game, but we've had a good workout. It's one of them things, so it is what it is, isn't it?
Given how close we are to the season start, do you see it as a hindrance? I know you want to keep up the good form and get minutes into legs, or do you see it as a chance to, get bodies rested and so on?
It is what it is. You can't legislate for it, and who would have legislated for this weather in August when we've had all that good weather early on this year? So it's just one of those things, and we're not going to be by ourselves. There'll be other clubs exactly doing the same, But we're quite lucky that we've had a facility to train on. A lot of other clubs won't be able to do it, and we're lucky to have this facility, and you're either against it or for it or against it, the 4G. But in these instances, it works, doesn't it?
Like you've alluded to there, the lads were in for I would say a light session. It didn't seem that watching on. 11v11, it's got quite competitive out there, wasn't it? It's what they needed though with a week left.
Well, it does. Yeah, it's like there from the kick-off. KP's having a bit of banter, and Matty goes and puts in top corner. So that set the tone, and that's what it's about. It's we've got a good set of lads,
and it's important to keep that morale high, isn't it? I'm not saying it's low, but it's always good to have good lads around the dressing room with a bit of banter, a bit of happy faces going into the season start.
It was interesting because sometimes with KP he's a typical goalkeeper. He's always got that stern look on his face and what have you, so Matty knew exactly what he was doing to wind him up, so I'm happy enough with that.
Yeah. Looking back on pre-season as a whole then, from your perspective, how have you assessed the last 6 or 7 weeks? Obviously the results aren't the be-all and end-all in pre-season, but they've been quite positive on the whole. What's your assessment?
There's people going out, people coming in. It's a project. We've fetched a lot of players in this year. We've let a lot of players go. And that's no disrespect to any of the players that have left. It's just not what I'm looking for. And I don't want them sat in the stand or just watching the game. They might as well go and enjoy themselves and play football where they're wanted, really.
How's that been with so many new faces coming? Obviously that naturally takes time to gel, but they seem to be getting on with each other out there.
And don't forget, we just don't pick people off a coat peg and we want him. What we do is we do his due diligence, and we look at the background, and I meet them and have a chat with them, and if they're going to be right for me or not right for me, and the way I manage. But I think you've got to find out what they're all about. It isn't just lads that play on the pitch. It's what they're like off the pitch, and get to know them. They've got to get to know us, and I've done that all the time I've been in management, to get to know people, and then we can all work together. If they're in a sound environment they want to be in, then it's good, isn't it? If I'm throwing somebody into an environment they don't want to be in, then I don't want to do that. But they've got the option then when we sit and talk to each other. It's not just about signing a piece of paper, there's your wage packet. It's about the full package, about them enjoying the football and what the lifestyle is away from football.
We've announced in the week that a few players have since left, 4 or 5 in total, but there are some lads still here, but might be on the fringe. You're looking at the young lads. Is there a loan moves or potential there?
Yeah, I mean, once we get settled and there's no believing now. I don't think until we get going, because we're going to we've got a lot of games in August, and see where we are. There might be 1 or 2 come through late, and then about 1 or 2 that don't buy into it and want to leave. So, but that's up to them. I've told them it's down to them. They've got to pick themselves. The players pick themselves. And so it's and I don't have any favourites, as you know. It's on merit, and that's how we run it.
It might be too early to tell, but after your 8 games last season in the Southern League, and compare that or weigh it up against your knowledge and know-how of the Northern League, how do you think the two might compare, and how do you think we're looking to shape up?
I think well, the Northern League for me there's a lot strength in depth. I think a lot of teams, anybody can beat anybody at this level. I think there's a lot of people filtered down from the Conference North Conference into this league, so the league's very, very strong. My assessment of the Southern League, I think most teams we played against had probably 2 or 3 really good players that seem to spend the money on a centre forward or a centre half, but I think the ability of the Southern League, there's a lot of ability there, but I think it's just a tad tougher in the north. That's the difference. You know, because I can't disrespect a league. I were only in for 8 games, but you know, that's my assessment of it. There were a lot of flair players, but when it come to a little bit of a crunch, would they do it all as a team? I would say not. You know, but going in the Northern League, the Northern Prem, you're going to have teams that are going to be at it every single week, and there's going to be a lot of good football played, and it's going to be really tight this year.
And I imagine that was at the forefront of your recruitment throughout the summer, wasn't it? Like you said, you don't just pick players off coat hangers or off the street, but I guess going into such a league, that's taken into
I think you'll find teams. You'll find teams. I mean, I'm watching people that's getting signed at certain teams, and certain teams that we're going to be playing against early on. They've gone big and strong, and they play ugly football, and that's how they want to play. You know, I think then you look at your teams like Hyde and Macclesfield. They want to play expansive football, but they want to win games, and you've got to stay in games. You've got a Marine. Look at Marine. You know, Neil's to me, everybody's fancying. He's not in the 4 fancied teams, but I think he'll do well this year. He's been at it a long time, and he's probably got what he wanted this year, and he'll be strong and he'll be organised, and I think he'll surprise a few people.
Is that how you want to go about your business with Baseford? You want to go under the radar, and like you said, in the week you peck at teams and get a result here and there? Is that how you want to do it?
We will be what we'll be. It'll be what it'll be. You know, I'm not going to say where we are. I know the teams that are going to be strong, and you know, we're going to be organised. We're going to be strong. We're going to play in the right areas, and we're going to win football games. You know, it might take a month to get it right, but you know, I think we're not far. I do think we're a couple short, if I'm honest. But you know, we've got what we're fetching 11 players. You know, so and they're not guaranteed to play. They're mixing in with the lads that have been here, and there's a good mixture. You can see now. You know, we're having a night out tonight, and they get to know each other. And I think we've come in the last 2 weeks. We seem to have got closer as a group. And next week we'll get closer and closer again, and then it starts, and we've got a home game, 2 away games, and we've got to be strong, and then we've got to be strong at bank holiday, and we've got to be hard. So, you know, my expectation of what we've got is that we will be successful, and we're going to have peaks and troughs with it, and we've got to deal with it. And I think I've got enough on the field that I've got at the moment, and I'm just looking at another couple of players. If we can get them in, then I think, you know, that book will be closed until if we have to fetch anybody in on loan through injuries. But let's hope, you know, if you know as well as I do, that if you're doing well, the physios don't have a lot of work to do. if you're not doing well, the little niggles that people run through a brick wall for you with, they don't have, or they do have. Sorry, you know what I mean. So it's, you know, it's mentally as well. If you're a group of players together, you want to play for each other. You know that's a big thing.
Are you putting any importance on certain blocks of games? I alluded to it earlier, but we haven't got the toughest start to the season, admittedly, but we are back-to-back Tuesday, Saturdays for the first month or two. Do you take anything from that? Do you look at 6 games in?
I mean, saying on that, what makes you think that they are going to be tough? You know, they're all going to be tough.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, end of the day, I mean, just because they've got a big name and you've got 2,000, 3,000 fans don't make you any better than a team. They go to Atherton where they've got 300 or 400 loyal people, football people. You know what I mean? So every game will have its own test. You know, and that's what it is. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I've been around it long enough to understand where you're going to go and what you're going to get off the field. You know, but on the field, you know. I've been to loads of clubs and managed at some big clubs, and then when you look at it, it's a piece of grass, you know, because you've got 2,000 people watching and stands and this, that and the other. It's great, but you know how I assess it to everybody, it's a piece of grass with seats around, you know, and a few people that probably don't like the ref from the kick-off or whatever. You know, it's always the same, but it's a mindset, isn't it? It's a mindset. You know, people are going to make it difficult when people come here. You know what I mean, and there'll be a lot of teams in the league we're in that haven't been here, you know, and find it difficult. And you know, I mean, you've only got to look at on paper what who everybody's saying is going to win it, but a big wad of money and 4,000 fans don't guarantee you're going to win a league. You've got to earn that right to win the league, and this is the hardest league. I think this is an harder league than the league above.
Do you take anything from that as well, the bookies' favourites or the favourites to go up or down or stay mid? Do you take much from that at all?
Yeah, well, you've only got to look at I've never been fancied to win anything, have I? And I've won quite a lot, you know, and I've been successful. So I'm not reading into that. I think people have got to be patient. The problem in football is, you know, chairmans and that aren't patient. You know, every team will go through a bad patch. We might start off poor, but it's where you finish. You know what I mean? You know, if we have every team has a blip. So if we set off well, around about Christmas time, we might fall off a log a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 injuries, 1 or 2 people come out of form. It's how you come out of it, but it's how you finish. You know what I mean? You've only got to look at what Scarborough did a few years ago. You know, John O. I was at a game at FC United and they got beat 5-0, and all the fans wanted his head, and he turned it round and he got momentum. And nobody fancied him in the playoffs whatsoever, and they did a great job. But that's clubs having some balls to do it, to stick by somebody. And there's too many people. It's, you know, you've only got to watch higher levels where managers don't get the time to you know, to develop what they want. And you know, I think the difference between non-league and full time is I just think, you know, there's too much money involved, you know, and people want instant success, and don't matter what level of life you're at or whatever your level you're managing at, you've got to be given time to do it. You know, there'll be 2 or 3 people I would imagine by Christmas time in this level, our level, they'll have gone, but they've got to give them time. Chris has got to give me time. He's got to understand, and we've had that conversation. You know, and we don't get it right all the time, but you know, records don't lie, do they? So that's how we've got to view it, and you know, people have got to be given time to get things right.
Well, I'm sure we'll catch up with each other again in the week in the build-up, as well as all the players. But are you excited for the season? Are the players raring to go? Obviously, the pre-season's been good and the atmosphere has been high, and it's been good to be around. But nothing quite beats a competitive start to the football season.
It's just, listen. Any manager at any level will tell you, once you get going, it's always nervy because you don't know what you're going to get. You put the lads over on the white line, you can put on a board, you can do, but it's all about attitude and what they want to do. And I think if you set off and you can be successful, then it breeds success. Do you know what I mean? And people, and you know, I'll have sleepless nights. Every manager, don't think that they'll leave here, any club at 5 o'clock or 5:30, 6 o'clock, and don't think about it. You don't sleep. I don't sleep. You know what I mean? I know. You're only going to ask your wife, my wife, and you ask a lot of managers' wives. I'm one, I don't, you know, I do think about it a lot, but on a Sunday, I'll be on phone organising things, and my wife's been around me long enough with football to know exactly what I'm like, but I don't take it personal. You know, just got to get it right, and if there's a player that needs an arm round and we have to have a conversation on Sunday, we'll do it, and that's the way I do things. But it is a very, very stressful sort of, like, you make it as stressful as you want to make it, right? I'm very laid back, very easy going. I don't have a lot of emotion on my face, but once we start, I want people to come and smile at me, and you're smiling at me. You know, I want people to come and enjoy the football. And is it all about winning? Yeah, it is all about winning, but it's how you win. And I think my brand of football, what I've always played, you know, I've always had people with a smile on face. You know, I don't shout on ball. I mean, I don't know how some managers are going to cope this year, because I understand they're all going to get the wrist slapped if they don't, you know, and it's about behaviour, you know, on sideline. And I know there's going to be 5 or 6 managers I'm going to be against, probably getting red cards in first half. But football's changing, football's got to change. Football's got to change like that. You've got to have that good perception of, you know, controlling your emotions and getting on with it. And football is about emotions, you know. I know, like 2 managers that come to mind now. You know, I've got time for them. I haven't got a lot of time for them because of the way they do things. You know, the bullies, you know what I mean. And it's not where I want to be. And I'm not, because I've been around it long enough. I'm not frightened of saying that. You know, that there are, and I don't want that round me. And if they want to do that, that's down to them. You know, they won't get me rise to a confrontation, because it's not where we are.
Bet you wouldn't change it though, would you? It's easy for me to say that behind the camera, and I'm not in the dugout every other Saturday, but would you change it for the world, would you?
In what respect?
Would you change the stress or the sleepless night? I know it's...
No, I think when you look at it, I can remember when I first started managing a long time ago, and I asked the referee to come and see me, because I was giving him a load of grief, and you know, I got sent off and I got banned for like 4 or 5 games, and then you know, they're doing a job. They do it as I see. You know, they don't always get it right. We don't get it right. You know, we've been training out there today, and there's no linesman, and they're all like, oh yeah, he's offside, no, he's offside. But that's just how it is. It's emotion, and they've got our job to do. You know, but we've got to behave better, and we've got to understand it better. And I've probably mellowed a hell of a lot, even though I've never been very vocal on the sideline. You know, don't want to get involved in anybody else's dugout. Don't want to. They deal with their business. If we can help, we help. You know what I mean? Like the physio situation. If, you know, I'll always be respectful to whatever. If someone's disrespectful to me, then they've done. Don't want to know. That's just how it is. That's how I am. Black and white that way. You know, but I do know a lot of people in football, and we will be. You know, there are certain comments about, you know, being round too long, which is a lot of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? You know, and well, proof will be in the pudding. You know, I'm hoping end of this year we've got a bit of silverware. We've done well. We've finished in them playoffs, so we've done something, and we get promotion. That's everybody's aim, you know. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a bit of a, you know, we're going to have a bad patch, you know. And we'll if we don't, we're very, very lucky. There's certain teams. I mean, we've got to remember as well. A lot of teams in this league have been together. You know, like I just said, Marine. You know, Neil's had a team last year. He's added 4 or 5. You know, guys, he's had a revamp altogether, fetching to play his brand of football where he wants. And then you've got other teams like Macclesfield come in. They're hybrids, so they should be fit and they should be this. But they've got to go to Atherton on a Tuesday night, and it's awful. They've got to come here probably on a Tuesday night. They've got to go everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to Atherton. It's a tough place to go, and Atherton will make it difficult for anybody where they go. You know, and that's the nature of the beast you've got. And then you'll go to FC United, where you've got a couple of thousand people that are loyal to their club and want their club to do well. They'll sing for their club and shout for their club, whether they're getting beat 5. And I can remember going and they're getting beat 5, and the fans are still singing and shouting, and good set of fans. It's football, so there's all different levels of sort of commitment from people, but it's about winning football games, isn't it? And if you know, it's about where we are in April, and let's hopefully we sat here in April having a positive conversation about what we're going to do next year in Conference North.
And the beer.
And a beer, yeah.